been climbing trees, I've skinned my knees, my hands are black, the sun is going down.
This exhibition, Voices of Kosovo in Manchester, came about because we really wanted to record the story of why people were forced out of Kosovo, what happened in the Balkan Wars, and how people ended up in Manchester. And we also wanted to record the recovery here and how it had been a really positive project with good resources and a lot of people really committed to see healing and recovery.
That was the challenge. How do you make an interesting visual exhibition about an oral histories project? So of course you've got quotes, you've got text, and then the interviews started coming through and we were able to lift out these incredible, moving, inspirational, challenging, upsetting quotes. The raw ingredients are the interviews. We did have some excellent photography from a photographer called Howard Davis and his work from a Refugee Council published book. And then we had Paul Cliff's brilliant portraits of the actual people giving the interviews.
I wanted it to be really democratic, everybody to be a very similar size, for them to be very straightforward, for not to distract people away from the people and into the photography, if that makes sense. I tried to make them as honest as possible. And I think that's the most important thing, because people are speaking honestly. Then if it's an honest picture, then all these things add up. I think when we speak to people, we're just conscious about people's eyes, aren't we? So it was all about, looking in the eyes of the people who were giving the testimonies and testaments, and people seeing the way that people have healed and moved on.
But this time, this was people painting words for peace in a situation where it wasn't my place to say about reconciliation, about peacemaking, because how they do that with their neighbours is up to them. But nevertheless, I could see that there was incredible value in what people were doing. It's the one thing I've done with the most value in it.
The period of ethnic cleansing and being driven out, people who were living under siege, people who had to leave their homes with nothing, just the clothes they were in. We're trying to break through the feeling that this is history and it's distant, and for people to realise that this is about their city and it's about Europe and it's about very, very recent current affairs, very, very recent conflict in Europe. And we've done that through personal stories.
And the whole story, of course, of the way Kosovans have been accepted by society here in England, it's a shame that we don't do that with other asylum seekers who are coming here now. We treat them differently. We treat them with not the same respect that we did beforehand.
The last person to be interviewed in the Oral Histories Project is an organ transplant nurse. And a lot of people don't think about immigration in those terms.
It made me realise how lucky we are, and it made me realise that we don't have the same sense of community in our selfishness of this kind of the life that we grew up with, without conflict and oppression. The Kosovans were so welcoming and so little, and had such a sense of community and a sense of identity that made a massive impression on me, and what I think we're missing.